Hey guys, this is Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches with another exciting episode for you today. We are going to talk about top Rolex mistakes. I've made them, you've made them. If you haven't made them yet, great, because maybe I can save you the trouble. But before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this video, let's go ahead and do the quick fist watch check. Guess what brand I'm wearing today, guys? And here it is. Guys, do me a solid, smash the like button, and please subscribe so we can do this again together real soon. Well, today I am wearing, of all things, a deep blue. I really meant to put on my Hulk, but I forgot. To be honest with you, when I made that fist watch check, I was like, wait, what is that? Okay, it's a micro brand. It's kind of fun, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about Rolex, but just so you don't feel ripped off, let's take a quick look at my Hulk shot just this morning. And we're back. Guys, the Rolex market has gone absolutely insane. The ADs have zero supply. The gray market has jacked the prices up because, of course, you know what happens when supply goes down, then the prices go up. So it has everybody really irritated. But let's talk right now about some ways that you can avoid making some of the most classic mistakes out there. And I'm going to tell you what. For me, the absolute number one mistake that you could possibly make would be to trade your current Rolex. So you have a Rolex, you're tired of it, and there's a different model that you want. So you call up gray market dealer XYZ, or whoever they happen to be, and you offer to trade your watch for something else that they have on their website. Huge mistake, because here's what's going to happen. You are going to basically sell that watch at wholesale, and then you're going to get the next watch at retail. Classic error. So you're going to be underpaid for the one watch, and you're going to overpay for the other, especially because the individual or the company, doesn't really matter who they are. All of them need to make a profit, and I respect that. They're business people. They're there to make a profit. Understandable. But they buy low, they sell high. This is the way it works. So you don't want to be that guy that is trading your Rolex that you're just bored with for something else that you think will make you happier, and selling low and buying high. Classic error. It'll cost you your watch plus a bunch of cash. And then, by the way, that new watch, when you want to sell it or trade it, the exact same thing is going to happen. So don't do that. Also, can I just tell you, that was tip number one, but here's tip number 1B. Don't sell your Rolex. If you've got steel sports or two-tone Rolex sports watches right now, don't sell them. You won't be able to replace them. That's what's happening. You just won't be able to get a new one. You will sell low, you will buy high. If you want to sell safe, you have to sell to a known watch dealer who is an absolute safe bet. So like if your roof blew off and you got a sub that you don't need, and you need the money, well, you are very safe selling it to one of the trusted sellers. But the problem is when you go to buy it back, oh my gosh, you're going to pay a lot more than whatever they're going to pay you. So don't sell or trade. That's the first thing. Here's another classic error: buying when the model is hot. Now, this is a tough one because almost all of the models are hot right now. But as an example, the Starbucks, the Cermet, I wouldn't, the 41 millimeter green bezeled Submariner in current production. There is no way that I would recommend that you would buy one of those right now, unless you can get it from the AD. And if you can get it from the AD, all bets are off, but chances are very low that you'll be able to do that. So if you got your heart set on a Cermet, chances are very high that you're going to have to go to the gray market used watch dealer, that sort of purchase. Understandable. But the problem is the model is too hot. So what you should be buying instead would be the sweet spot right now. Actually, there's a couple of them. One would be the black 40 millimeter, just the standard black 40 millimeter Submariner. You can find one in all probability for in the $12,000 range. Or the 43 millimeter Sea Dweller with the red line. You could probably get that for like 14 if you're patient and you hunt hard. Okay, so those I think would be the sweet spot versus paying crazy money for the hot model of the day, such as the Starbucks. Okay, I would also probably avoid paying gray market prices for the Panda Daytona. I just don't think any of the Daytonas are worth it right now, unless maybe the two-tones, which are less popular. But avoid the hot models. You're just going to get jacked. Here's another huge mistake that almost everybody is going to make at some point in time if you get really into the brand and you don't love the current production stuff. Buying vintage. Guys, buying vintage is a big rat's nest of a mistake if you don't know exactly what you're doing. If you're a newbie, there is no way you should be buying vintage Rolex. There's so many problems with them. First of all, how do you know that it's real? You can't take a 25 or a 30-year-old Submariner or almost anything into an AD and ask them, is this 100% real? Because they're not going to know. They don't have anybody on board who has ever seen a 30-year-old watch made in like the 1980s. Heck, their 27-year-old salespeople haven't ever seen those either. So the problem is that they might be able to like look at it and go, yeah, you know, it looks good. But how do they know that all the parts inside have not been frankened? How do they know that that's not a painted dial, replacement hands? How do they know if the rotor has been changed out, if the gears and wheels and all the parts and oils are original? They're not going to know. And so the vintage market in Rolex has become a rat's nest. There are so many Franken pieces out there. You absolutely have to know exactly what you're doing in order to buy, sell, and trade anything, I would say, older than 20, 25 years. If it goes back further than that, guys, I think you shouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole or your money is not safe. Buying unworn, that's the next one, guys. Buying an unworn watch, okay, because it's in stickers. This is the stupidest thing, and people do it all the time. The problem is you're gonna pay $3, $4, $5, $7, $8,000 more to get that watch in stickers. The ADs have been de-stickering watches as a very firm practice for a whole long time now, but some of the older watches are in stickers that have been in somebody's safe for a long time, or some of the gray marketeers have such good connections with the AD, selling them out the back door. All wrong, nasty, vicious, and vinyl. They obviously that kind of thing shouldn't happen. But in some situations, in some circumstances, in some countries, we absolutely know it does. But you're going to pay so much more, bird, like literally a goose. I don't know if you saw that on camera. It's like a 15-pound goose just flew like 6 feet over my head. Okay, anyway, buying a watch in stickers is just a horrible idea, because then you're not going to be able to wear it, or if you de-sticker it, you've just pulled $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, you know, of value right off of the watch. It's the stupidest thing in the entire world to buy a watch brand new in stickers, yet people email me all the time, should I buy this watch? And then it's selling for $4,000 more than they would otherwise have to pay. Guys, I mean, wearing a watch in stickers, you know, I just wouldn't do it unless it's a gold piece and you put the stickers on there as a protective measure, like I did with my gold Submariner for slip covers. But guys, don't pay extra for a Safe Queen that's in stickers. Let some schmuck pay that extra money. You want to go out there and wear your watch. Well, not this one, because this one costs like $200, but you know what I'm talking about. Guys, the last thing that I want to discuss here is eBay, and this is a really sticky wicket. I don't think that you should buy on eBay, even though eBay now has an authentication process. So theoretically, this is the way it goes. You buy a watch on eBay if it's worth $5,000 or more, rather than come straight to you, it goes to an authenticator. You want to look for the authenticity guarantee, you know, on the listing. So that tells you it's going to go to an authenticator who's going to look at the watch before it goes on to you. The problem is I have seen some of these watches that are passing through the authenticator, well, especially the vintage ones, with repainted dials, service hands, things that are not disclosed in the original listing. So, and although the authenticators theoretically are opening the watch to glance at the movement, they're not disassembling them. Okay, so how do they know that the watch is going to hold pressure? They're not pressure testing them. How do they know that all the gears, wheels, oils, bits, pieces, thingamabobs are correct? The answer is they don't. And you know, in the average watch, there's 150 to 250 parts, moving parts. So guys, the only way I would buy on eBay, a couple exceptions to this rule, is number one, if you've handled and touched so many Rolexes that you could just kind of like feel it and get a sense right away on if it's authentic, okay, maybe I'll approve of you doing that. Number one. Number two, there are some very trusted dealers on eBay, names that you know. Okay, so maybe those guys. And if it's a if it's a modern production watch or something that was in production up until very recently, and your first stop after receiving it from your eBay shipper is not to prance around town, wearing your new watch, but it is to go right to an appraiser to get an insurance appraisal for that watch, or a watchmaker who will open it up, at least do some minor disassembly, poke around in there, and guarantee you that your investment is safe. But I would avoid eBay unless you absolutely know what you're doing. Okay, here's a bonus mistake. Buying without box and papers. If you were to ask me 3 or 4 years ago what I thought about box and papers, I would have told you, you wear the watch, you don't wear the box and papers. So you can easily dispense with the box and papers. I would have said you should pay $300, $400, $500 less for that watch than one with Common box and papers. But the fakes have gotten so good that people are really insistent upon box and papers anymore. And honestly, the box isn't that important, because you can go buy a Rolex box for $100, $150 on eBay, even a real one. And the counterfeit ones are out there too. They fake the boxes, but you can go get a real eBay or a Rolex box, let's say, for $150, almost certainly. But the paper. The problem with buying a watch these days without the paper is every single collector, almost everybody, has just been trained, probably by YouTube. I mean, we are probably the guilty parties, but they have all been trained box and papers, box and papers, box and papers. So guys, I wouldn't buy one without, because the differential in price is amazing. I would say on the low end, it's about $1,000, and on the high end, it could be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 differential if you don't have the box and papers. So bonus tip at this stage of the game, don't buy without box and papers unless you just really don't care about the value, long-term value of that watch. But if you're a value conscious buyer, you need those you need those papers. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Tell me in the comments if I got this one right. Let's talk about it. And hey, join me, subscribe. Let's do it again soon. Goldberg, peace out.
Paint the sky.